Today we're digging into a really important, but honestly often overlooked piece of web accessibility, the danger of flashing content. And this is so much more than just being annoying. It's a serious safety issue that anyone building for the web really needs to get their head around. So I want to kick things off with a pretty direct question, especially for anyone out there who builds websites, apps, anything digital. Could the thing you've created actually be dangerous? I know, it sounds a little extreme, right? But for some of the people using your site, the answer is a definite yes. So let's unpack exactly why that is.
Okay, so let's start right there with that hidden danger. It's so critical to understand that when we talk about flashing content, we're not just debating a bad design choice. For some folks, it is a genuine health hazard.
And the impact here, it's incredibly serious. We're not talking about someone getting a little annoyed. Flashing content can trigger photosensitive epilepsy and cause actual seizures. And beyond that, for an even wider group of people, it can bring on migraines, dizziness, and even nausea. These are significant real-world health problems.
And this is why the mission behind the official Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG, is so simple and so important. It's all about allowing everyone to access the content on a site without triggering a seizure. It really just comes down to safety and inclusion.
Okay, so we know how critical this is. What can we actually do about it? Well, the first line of defense is a really simple safety check. It's called the 3-flash rule.
So, what's the magic number? The single most important thing to take away from all of this? It's 3. Just the number 3.
That's 3 flashes per second. That is the absolute limit you do not want to cross if you want your content to be safe. Period.
And here it is, word for word, from the official guidelines. Web pages do not contain anything that flashes more than 3 times in any 1 second period. I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than that, right? It's a fundamental rule of web safety.
But wait, what if some kind of flashing is, a necessary part of your content, like in an action scene in a video, or maybe a cool data visualization? Does that mean you just can't do it? Not necessarily. There are ways to stay below the safety threshold, even if you flash more than 3 times a second. So how can a fast flash be safe? Well, it really just comes down to 2 things: size and brightness. A big, bright flash is what's dangerous. But a flash that's really small or pretty dim, well, that can actually be safe even if it's happening pretty quickly.
This whole idea is formalized in what's called the general flash threshold. It's basically a specific technical limit on the combined size and brightness of whatever's flashing. And here's a fun fact. These rules aren't even new to the web. They were adapted from broadcast television standards, where this has been a known issue for decades.
Now, there is one color you have to be especially careful with: red. The human brain is just uniquely sensitive to flashing red light, so the safety rules get even stricter when you're dealing with saturated reds.
So if you're thinking the math behind all these thresholds sounds complicated, you're right, it is. But the great news is you don't actually have to do it. There are free tools out there, like the Photosensitive Epilepsy Analysis Tool, or PEAT for short, that can analyze your content and just tell you if it's safe.
This brings us to a super common point of confusion. What's the real difference between flashing and blinking? They might seem like the same thing, but in the world of accessibility, they have very different rules.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. Blinking is all about distraction. Its only purpose is to draw your attention. That's why the rule for it is pretty simple. The user has to be able to stop it. Flashing, on the other hand, is about physical harm, that real risk of a seizure. And that's why the rule is so much stricter. You have to avoid or limit it from the very beginning.
So where's the line between them? It all comes back to our magic number. If any element on your page, even if you call it a blinking cursor or whatever, if it cycles more than 3 times per second, it is officially considered a flash and has to follow all of these strict safety rules.
All right, we've gone through the risks and the rules, so let's get practical. How do you actually build this stuff safely? Let's look at the techniques you can put into action right now.
The official guidelines basically give us a simple 3-part playbook for this. First, the easiest one by far. Just stay under 3 flashes per second. If you can't do that, your second option is to make sure the flashing area is small enough to be safe. And for really complex stuff like video, the third option is your best friend. Just use a tool to check it for you.
Let's picture how this works in the real world, right? Think about an action movie with a bunch of machine gun fire. That muzzle flash is super intense, but it can be totally safe if it's kept to a tiny little part of the screen, passing that threshold test. Or imagine a movie scene with lightning. The editors can simply go in and make sure those bright flashes never happen more than 3 times inside of any 1-second window. It's all about designing things consciously and safely.
So after all these rules and thresholds and technical details, what does this all really boil down to? It's simple. This is about protecting people from getting hurt.
And the W3C, the group behind these guidelines, really says it best. The benefit is that people will be able to view all of the material on a site without having a seizure. That's the whole point. That's the win. It's about creating a web where everyone can participate, fully and safely.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. We're building for a world with more screens than ever before. On our phones, our watches, these giant bright TVs. As the things we create become more vibrant and dynamic, how will you make sure they also stay safe for absolutely everyone?